Hello, my name is Michael Bacchus, and I am here to talk about my work in progress for my submission to the Reallusion Animation at Work contest. I'm going to put my submission at the bottom in the description. This is a contest that's brought to you by Reallusion, who are the creators of the product that I love to use, which is Cartoon Animator. I'm going to talk more about it later. My characters, just to give you a brief understanding, we have Tango here at the top, and we have his sister, his twin sister, Tulip. They are twin sisters, and they are mascots for my spouse's indoor playground. I created the characters and the logo. I am a graphic artist. I am not the best animator. I'm not the best drawer. I am okay, but that's not what we're here for. One of the main things that you'll see is that the actual characters are simplified, and that's one thing I can tell you to do is simplify your characters. Don't lose any of the elements that make him your character. Like he has his hair, he has his suspenders, the tail isn't there yet, but you'll see that later. But all these characters are simplified, but they don't lose the personality that makes them who they are. I just made the eyes not have as many elements. I just made sure that the boots are attached to the leg in one piece, so that I don't risk losing the shoe, when I'm animating something. So I'm concentrating on doing the animation. I'm not concentrating on doing any troubleshooting. I'm just really concentrating on this. Also, the other thing that I can say is just work on what you need. Block out your animation, plan out what you need. And like, if you don't need 75 hands, right? I don't know if there's 75 here, but there's a lot of hands, right? I think there's 25, or there's a number right beside it. So there's like 30 of them, whatever. If you don't need 30 hands, then don't do 30 hands, right? Consider your character always a work in progress. In this case, my character had a face stretch that didn't exist before, but I made these different facial shapes, for the character. Oh, this isn't the version was the facial shapes. I have so many different versions sometimes of my character, but the one in Cartoon Animator, as you'll see later, do have all the facial shapes. You should always consider your character a work in progress, and don't waste time working on every single element just in case you'll need it. Plan out your animation, work on what you need, and make your animation. And if you need an element, then work on it and then import it. That way you're not wasting time, and you just have a better structure for your character, and you overwrite the previous version of your character, or you can save another one if you're afraid. But you always have a new version of your character with more sprites, and you just have added another element for a future animation. There's no reason for you to work from A to Z for every single thing that you might need and waste time. All right. So I'm just going to show you the animation real quick. I don't think there's going to be sound here when I play it, but that doesn't matter. So this is a YouTube short. It's just Tango playing in the ball pit. He sees a shark fin. He's like, what the heck is this? It's like, wait a minute. Is this a shark? So there's no voices here. He's like, ah! And he's afraid. That was the face stretch I was talking about. And then you realize it's Tulip. And then she laughs. And end scene. Very short and sweet. There's a couple of things here that are pretty cool that I want to. Every single one of my animations I break down into scenes, because you don't want to overstuff your file. So I create each scene separately and their own Cartoon Animator files. Then I export each scene into After Effects. That's how I get the little shadowy effects that you saw. As you can see here, there's no shadowy effects. I won't show you guys how to do that today, but it's just keep in mind that it's an After Effects. You can find plugins that can help you out with that, and just shadow plugins that can help you out. and then I export everything into Premiere Pro, right? The other thing that you'll notice is these lines here, okay? And that is the main reason why I love working in Illustrator versus Photoshop. Is Photoshop easier? Yes. Is it better? That's debatable. For me, it's not. I love the brushes that you can get in Illustrator. There's probably a way of doing this in Photoshop, but it's not as easy. You don't get to stretch out your shapes as much as you want without losing quality and stuff like that. So this is the finest vintage brush set, which I love for these character styles. And as you can see, it kind of looks like this very blotchy ink style. And that's the main reason why I used Illustrator. Okay. So for this scene here, as you can see, it's very basic. But there's some advanced techniques that are being used that Cartoon Animator allows you to use. For one thing, I have layers here. If I show you in 3D what this looks like, it's going to look kind of horrible, but it doesn't matter. It's kind of the point, right? So I'm just going to show you what this looks like here. If you see all this, these are like the ball pits that I exported. In the fin, as you can see, like it just jumps out from behind, so it has a little bit of a parallax to it. Let's go back to our camera. Our camera, I only have one camera needed for this scene here, and what I did is I linked the camera to my fin. So when the camera moves, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So it gives a lot more illusion of motion. As you can see, look, but there's really nothing moving. The fin itself is not moving. Well, it is, but I'll show you how later. But it's not moving forward, right? It's just moving up and down. What is actually moving is the ball pit layers that you see here. They have a transformation from right to left, so those are what's scrolling at different speeds. So whatever's in front is going a little bit faster, whatever's behind that is going a little bit slower, and whatever is way in the back is a lot slower. And so the interesting part here, so that's the camera itself, right? The interesting part here is the what they call the motion controls, right? And for every one of these scenes, what I did is I would hide the ball pits here. All right, and so I'm just gonna hide the ball pit, because I don't want the ball pits. I want my fin and my movable balls here. Okay, as you can see, there's already motions here on it, but I'm going to explain to you what I did. I'm going to explain it to you by just moving forward and animating parts that are not animated yet. Okay, or I'll just remove object animations. There you go. Let me just go right click, remove object animations for every one of these, and watch this. So remove object animation. All right, so now we have a clean slate. Okay, what I did is I made sure some balls were behind the fin, some balls were in front, you know, and I started by animating the fin with the animation template. Go check in animation. We have motion pilot profile. for the fin, well, even for the balls, you'll see, I simply use the basic one. Which was this one right here, follow flip. Okay. So I did this. You scroll, you just drag it onto there, and you're going to have a new window that's going to open up. I removed the face cursor because I don't want my fin to spin. Like if I didn't remove the face cursor, if I press preview here and I press the space bar, whenever I would do this, you would do that, right? So look, this is exactly what I was talking about. Look, the camera's just following my fin around. And that right there is a powerful tool, and I love it because you can create all these different kind of scenes just by moving, you know, this object right here. I think this is just a wonderful tool. So basically, I removed that because I don't want my fin to flip around, and I would just move it a little bit like this, right? And you can see it's just following it around, right? So, all right, so that's done. Let's just preview it. Oh yeah. So yeah, I previewed it, but I didn't record. So you have to hit record. I always recommend to preview it before so you can see what it's going to look like. But you know, I hit record this time. Let's go. So let's go here. Yep. Let's go. All right, that's great. And you notice that it only starts following it after a little while. The reason for that is because I wanted to allow the fin to pop out and then follow it. So that's just with your camera switches. You know, the first camera doesn't follow the fin, but the second camera does. So when you switch cameras, it starts following it. But I mostly want to concentrate on the motion pilot here. All right. And the other part is the balls here, which is the exact same animation. Okay, it's exactly the same animation. The only difference is, right, we don't want this here, although it doesn't really matter as much in this case. But what's important is you have to select all the ones that you want to see affected by the motion pilot. Okay, make sure to grab the one that you put behind here. You click on the little icon here that's for puppet motions. And what I do, like the leader of the object is orange ball. What I do is I want a uniform delay. And I want a delay of a few frames here. I'm going to try to test out. Apply to selected objects. It's important to apply to selected objects. And here's why it's important to preview. You get to preview this. As you can see, the balls are following. Not quite exactly the way I wanted, but it doesn't really matter because I can just adjust here how I'm following. It's following my mouse here, just so you can see. So what I did is I'm going to record here as I simply would do this. I would turn. So it's the same balls that are rotating, right? And when you go back, right? Let's go back here. Now I know it doesn't look like much right now. You could do it like that. There you go. And it doesn't look like much. And I didn't do it as precisely as when I did the animation, but it's just to show you and what it looks like. And I exaggerated a little bit just to make my point clear, but you know, you can refine it. But like when you put everything here, right, and when you put every layer of the ball pit here, here's what it looks like. So the balls, right, they're just flying all over the place. It really looks like it's the fin that's pushing the balls, right? And as you can see, my animation for the fin stopped, but it still looks like it's moving, not as not as well is because I'm not moving as much, right? Uh, but like because it's this that's moving, it kind of looks like he's moved. The fin is moving slower. But anyways, again, this animation is not perfected. I'm just doing this to show you how it was done. But you can see the end product in the actual final animation itself. But this is how I did it. So it doesn't really show that I'm using the same balls over and over again. It's kind of like an old animation trope, if you will, like when the Flintstones are running and it's the same background in the back that we see. I'm kind of using the same technique here, but using the motion pilot feature that's in Cartoon Animator, which is just amazing, right? And combined with their new camera system that's linked onto the fin, it really creates a shot that I was very happy with personally. I know it doesn't seem like much when you watch the actual short. You know, you don't even think about it, and that's sometimes how you know the scene might work. Is when it doesn't really pay attention to itself. It's something that might be difficult for you to do, but like when people are watching it, they're not even noticing how complicated that might have been for you to figure out. I mean, that's just the way it works, right? And if your shot works, people won't necessarily notice it that much. You know, if it flows well, it's kind of it kind of seems like an oxymoron, but that's how it is. And so one last thing that I'm gonna talk about here, and again, it's just to help the ones out there that are not as experienced. We all know how annoying it is to make hands, right? So if you don't know, if you want to create your character, you go and create character. You can export to SVG. You want to make sure that in your preferences you change it to the updated version of your Illustrator, because annoyingly, if it'll open the old version if you didn't update it here. So you'll have two versions of Illustrator, and your computer is not going to like that. Well, my computer didn't anyways. So when it comes to hands, here's something that I love to do when I'm creating the hands and the sprites, is I have a base hand that I make here, right? So I duplicated the first hand here and erased it all, and I make this the base hand. So whenever I want to create a sprite, like I'm going to try to imitate the sprite here, there's only 4 fingers here because my characters only have 4 fingers. But each, if you look here, I have the little finger, I have the middle finger, I have the index, and I have the thumb, and I have the hand based here. All right. So I duplicate this to keep the hand base because I don't want to lose that. Right. And each section of the hand, like the thumb, has 3 parts. So they're all circles or ovals, right? Mostly ovals, obviously. And what this allows me to do is, instead of drawing each hand, right, because now I want to draw this relaxed pose, what I do is I imitate let me just erase this here because I was working on this earlier. Oh yeah, okay, no, that's my mistake. Okay, yeah, so I'm inside the hand already. So I thought, anyways, I know what I thought. It doesn't matter. So I'm already here. So what I do is I imitate this hand by simply positioning each circle, right, as much as possible in the same position as that hand here. It still work, right? I'm not gonna hide that, but it's a lot less work than simply drawing each hand one by one. All right. And then each hand, I go here and I create a Pathfinder shape to make it into one shape. And then I remove the points that I don't feel I need. So if you want a more realistic looking hand, you have these bends here. And you can just move that up there. Like there's no, and it's really just that simple. Honestly, I don't need to draw every single finger anymore. All right. So, and when it comes to the brushes themselves, well, basically your hand here should be the same color as your fingers, obviously, right? So let's say I put a, well, let's say that's the color of my hand here. I don't know what kind of character that is. It's a mustard man. So my mustard man here, right? This is how he looks with the fingers. You can leave it like that if you want. That's not the way I like. As you see, I like to have my characters with very thick outlines. So what you simply do here is you want to duplicate your fingers, right? So this finger here, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make it black. All right. And the reason why I duplicate it and I don't add the lines in the same shape is because you want to be able to cut where you want to cut so that you're creating, right, the illusion that they are all in one piece, the hand and the fingers. Now that base hand itself you can have on the same shapes, right? But as you can see here, look, that's what I mean. So then obviously these two, you want to, I always want to group them together. Right? And I call it index. I think I made a mistake earlier and I called the first one index. Oh, yeah. But it doesn't really matter. Like, I think I called this one the index instead, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not a doctor. You know, if your doctor makes a mistake like that, then change doctors. But, you know, whatever. If I go here, it's the same process, and Illustrator is telling me I'm doing something wrong, so I go a little bit closer, and it turns out that I was hitting beside it. And yeah, so yeah, that's it. It's the same process. So you want to make sure, you know, that you only have the outline on one layer, and you only have the color on the other layer, and you group it. And you duplicate. And you want to make sure that you have the same thickness, right, for every one of your fingers and hands and everything. You always want to make sure that you have the same thickness of lines everywhere as much as possible, unless you're going for an artistic look where the lines are not the same thickness, which is completely fine, but it has to have like more of a calculated look to it. So like you can see here, I'm just doing a little bit of an adjustment here. I can maybe do a little bit of an adjustment here as well, you know, and don't don't worry if it doesn't follow the finger underneath exactly, because it doesn't matter, because you ultimately just want the final look of your hand, right? So the thumb, let me just group this. And the thumb I accidentally grabbed. So I'm going to take this out and I'm going to duplicate it right away. I'm going to make this the yellow mustard for the mustard man. And I'm going to take this one and make it the black for the outline. There you go. I'm going to cut it here. Going to remove the outline on the other one. Again, this won't be perfect because I'm going a little bit faster than what I would usually do, but I think you can still see where I'm going at here, right? I didn't spend a lot of time on this. I had my base hand here that I just switched up in the shape that I wanted and combined, and now I got the shape that I wanted. So that's one tip that I can give you. Want to work on your hands and just have a base hand and just, you know, change the shapes around, work smarter, not harder. And this was my little tiny presentation. I don't know if it was good. It's the first time I do one of these. If people enjoy them, maybe I'll go more in depth into my process. And that's it. Please check out my animation. Go on it, follow it, you know, like it. It encourages our business. It encourages me during the contest. And yeah, that's it. Thanks so much.